Hey guys, Evan Ork here, back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Bandai Varan figure. Now, for the longest time, I wanted a Varan figure. You know, the only one I knew of was the YMSF one, which didn't really have a good facial design, so I was always hesitant in getting it. And around the time I actually did plan to get it, this came out, the Bandai version of it, and I couldn't have been more happy. Ultimately, before I get into the pros and the cons, I do want to mention this is the last figure review based off of the figures I got this year for Christmas. So there's probably not going to be any figure reviews anytime soon, but my birthday's coming up, I'm going to get figures then. As soon as that happens, I have more reviews along the way. So anyways, one of my favorite things about this figure is the detail. The detail on this figure is definitely my favorite, and the reason why I say that is because if you just look at it, the scales and the markings for which make Varan's design more reptilian, more unique, are there. They're present, and they are done really well. Of course, if you want specific examples, we have these markings all across his body. Of course, it kind of smooths out, but even with the legs, we have this kind of linear skin portion that kind of goes all the way down the leg, and you get that also with the other leg as well. Clearly, they worked really well in the detail when it comes to this. Even the facial detail is very nice. They still have those scaly reptilian looks on his face. They only kind of stop when they go towards the eyes and the mouth. Also, good detail on the tail here. The scales continue. Underbelly, it's kind of more muscular look, more of a warped skin look, not so much as the scales as we do on the top, but still very nice. So let's get into the next layer about this figure. So the next thing I like about this figure is the paint job. Now the paint job on this figure is slightly above average, and the reason why it's slightly above average is there are two primary colors. The larger of those primary colors is this orangish, brownish color, and then there is the white, which is mostly of the horns and the spines all across his body. Now, again, I understand that you don't have many options for booming colors when this is just the way the figure looks, but take the mouth, for example. They could have made the mouth red, which it is, but a booming red color, and the paint job would have been way above average, probably would have been up to par with the detail, and I would have admired that more about the figure. But unfortunately, the red inside his mouth is not a booming color. Nothing about this is really booming. White isn't exactly as booming as I'd like it to be, just because there is at least good shading, but I wouldn't say it's booming. But again, paint job generally is good. No paint scuffs anywhere. Maybe some very slight ones on the claws with his hands, but that's about it, and that's natural. You can't really avoid that. Let's get into the next thing about this figure. So the next thing I like about this figure is the articulation. The articulation on this figure is a solid average, and the reason why it's a solid average is quite simple. Look, there are only 4 joints of articulation. Now on Bandai's, I always say 4 joints is the average amount. It should have more, but at least 4, and this has that. It has the legs, the hind legs, front legs here, but that's it. You know, that's it, just 4 joints. So I can't really say that it's very good. Again, it's obviously just average because it has the at least amount I'd like. But again, more opportunities that they missed. Bandai is very good at making those mistakes, unfortunately. But yeah, so let's get into the cons of this figure. So when it comes to the cons of this figure, I have one major con and one nitpick. The major con goes back to the pro I said about articulation, because look, I can say the articulation is a pro, but that doesn't mean that individual circumstances of it don't deserve a con of its own. What I mean by that is, yes, there are 4 joints, but there are so many more opportunities that I have to take points off of because they're glue seals. Now, you guys always know my hatred for glue seals. I've never understood the point of them. Just make it a normal joint like you would here with the legs. And where are those glue seals exactly? Well, I was kind of pointing at it with my camera the whole time, but you have this entire head, perfect opportunity for a glue seal to go away. And the tail, another glue seal right here. Can't move it. I've never understood the purpose of glue seals, never. You know, maybe if someone will do the honors of telling me in the comment section why Bandai does this. Again, missed opportunities. If they had had that and that would have been 6 joints of articulation. Again, would have definitely been a bigger pro. So when it comes to the smaller nitpick, again, the paint job is generally good, but also a little bit of a specific issue with the paint job. That specific issue is that even though the shading is generally nice between the body going up to the bright white spines and horns on his back, don't get as good of a shading when it comes to this. I mean, look how this white spine completely transforms into the color spine of his general body, this orange. And I understand that that's supposed to happen, but they could have done more of a transition where maybe This horn in particular could have had more of a mix of the orange and the white, so it looked like it was shading more nicely. Again, they did that when it showed the figure going up towards the spine. It went orange to bright white, but it did not do that for the remainder of the spines on his tail. But I would generally rate this an 8.8 out of 10. I would recommend getting this, and the reason why I would is not only because it's a good figure, but because, look, there is no other better Varan figure right now that's affordable. The YMSF Varan, at least I thought was the only Varan figure I could get, but the face sculpt always looked weird to me, and now that it's $60, $70 in comparison to this maybe being $40, $30 on Showcase Daikaiju is a much better offer. So again, would recommend getting this. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later, and bye-bye.